Now that the dust has settled, I think we can get a clear look and analysis on the technical indicators to see what's next for XRP. Let's go ahead and break it down. What is up, my friends? Carlton Flowers, your crypto pro, back again after all of the nonsense and the mayhem with the XRP lawsuit. We can finally take a breather and get a look at what's going on with the chart and talk about a few positive things that I see, which is what I called out. If you were part of my Telegram group, you could scroll back and you could see what I was saying. I made a few points about what I believe the effect this lawsuit will have on the XRP price, and we'll cover that in details right now and then look at the chart. So let's just jump straight into it, get rid of that, and here we are on the 4-hour chart. So the first bit of positive that we can see right here on the chart is the fact that XRP had this nice bounce. There we go, right there. So during the last couple of updates, when we were down here just sinking low on this steep trajectory, heading down deep into the dungeon, not knowing where we were going to stop, it looks like we did stop close to this area that I had talked about of critical importance that just so happens to be clustered right around the magical 2.618 red fib circle ring. Okay, so let's just zoom in a little bit and take a closer look. So here we are. We had a lot of price action where we wicked almost down to the 2.618 red fib circle ring, and then we had this action bouncing around where it looks like we found a bottom. Now notice how all of the 4-hour candles, they just kind of stopped right here. We found a pretty solid base that was somewhere around, say, 28 cents. And there was a few red wicks that went below that line, but it looks like the serious base was at about 28 cents. And so that's not bad. Now keep in mind where the fib circles are based on swing channel ranges, and you can check out the actual details of that in my Telegram group if you want to. We know that these channels are not going to be exact and fall where these fib circle boundaries are, but this is close enough to say, hey, we know that there is some power behind the analysis of the fib circles. And we know that the magic, I always tease and talk about the magic of these fib circle rings and how they have gravitational power and how they predict pivot points, bounces, resistance, and supports. But let's think about this. The fibs are based on the crowd activity as people are buying in and selling out in waves. Picture it like lemmings. When the first lemming runs to the edge of the cliff and jumps off, then you got 10 or 15 that follow that one, and then here comes the hundreds and they all take that dive over the cliff. The fib rings are based on the science of the analysis of these numbers that are based on waves of sentiment from the human population, and it just translates that into the form of a graph. Another way that I like to explain fibs, here it is. I'll just draw it on the screen for you here. If you throw a rock, let's just make us a little rock here. Let me get the drawing tool. Here we go. Let's just drop a rock here into a pond. There's our rock. What happens when you drop a rock into the pond? Well, you're going to cause a ripple action. There's going to be a wave, and here's what it looks like. It starts here and it propagates out. There we go. Okay. There's our wave of action from the energy of the rock hitting the surface of the water. All right, now if we threw another rock into our pond, let's say we throw a rock here at the same time. Well, here's the effect that it will have. Let's make some more circles, and we're going to have an action of waves that propagates from dropping this rock into the ocean. Now, for all of you physics nerds, I'm an engineer, so I studied this in physics. we know that something happens when the waves intersect. So as we look at each point of intersection where these waves come together, we can have an interference pattern where we will have a destruction of the energy of two waves that are opposite each other, and we will have the doubling of the effect where the two waves are in the same phase. That's why we see this happening when we produce these Fib circle rings on price charts. You notice I've got this red line here. That's from a downswing channel. We've got this green set here. That's from an upswing channel from here to here. And then sometimes we see things happen at the intersection of these waves. But what we know is that there is action that will propagate in waves that takes place from each swing channel up and each swing channel down. So just a little bit of a scientific explanation behind that. That's why we see this action happening on this fib ring. So as people settle down, we tend to see changes in directions of price. And then as the groundswell happens and a bunch of people jump in and pile on, we see things like this happen, this nice big fat green candle. Okay, now I am pretty excited that this candle happened here because this goes against all of the sentiment from all of the negative people and the people who are XRP bashers. This was supposed to be the end of the world. We were supposed to see more delistings in addition to the no-name exchanges that had restricted or delisted XRP. But Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, all of the noteworthy exchanges have not delisted or halted trading on XRP. Well, that's a whole nother video, and I'm not as much into fundamental analysis. I study it a little bit, but I focus on the chart. Now, what I said in my Telegram group a couple days ago was that I am not convinced that any of this situation with the lawsuit news would have any effect on the technical performance of this crypto. Because in the past, as we have seen with projects like EOS, when they went through their lawsuit and had to pay their amount to settle their suit, we don't see any difference in the way that EOS has gone on from that point as far as the normal trading channels that develop. So it's still gone through that same progression along with the rest of the crypto market. Well, at any rate, when we look at this dip that happened right here, one thing that is very encouraging is we know that this dip did not just occur with XRP. Guys, this is market wide. We saw a lot of alts get crushed at the same time. Now, if this dip was solely due to the XRP lawsuit, we would have noticed that all of the other projects would not have had a similar pathway. But since everyone across the board has had this same movement, we can kind of say, okay, this is probably a technical move and a correction that was bound to happen either way. All right, so let's clear that out, turn drawing mode off, and let's jump to the one-day chart and then talk about where we think that the price action will go from this point. So with this big, nice, fat red candle, it's pretty safe to say that the overall progression of the price on XRP is still going up. Here we came out of this and we had that big, massive pump, but let's follow along on the 200-day EMA, which is right here. And what do we see? We saw that the XRP price violated the 200-day EMA, and then what did it do? It got snatched right back up to that point. That's exactly what all of these projects do all the time. We see the same thing with the 50-day EMA. Sometimes you'll be scooting on along and we drop below the 50-day EMA, we bounce back up. Sometimes if the move is powerful enough, we drop below the 200-day EMA, we bounce right back up. So let's keep that in mind. Now, looking at some of these fib rings, we can kind of catch a few targets. We still have this downward baseline combined with this 2.618 fib circle ring, which tells me that there are some possible targets of where we can see price propagating. Now, in my opinion, the correction might not be over. we do have a very nice crossover right here on the stochastic on the 1-day chart. Our %K fast blue line has definitely crossed over the %D slow line. Can this change? Yes, it can. It can change at any moment, and this line can come on back down and we can revisit down here in the oversold zone. Also, it could just continue up from this point. We start on an upswing and head towards the next run. But I think in the next week or two, we're probably going to see the alts take a little bit more of a beating because it looks like Big Brother Bitcoin is not done with its correction. We're sitting at 23,637 on Bitcoin as we speak, and there is a red candle forming, which tells us that we might be printing a lower high and continuing on with the correction. All right, so let's clear this out and talk about both scenarios of what we could see, worst case and best case. On the worst case, what we could see if there is a continued nasty correction with the prices across all of the alts, we might jump back down right here to the 2.618. That's where I will be looking for a bounce. I'll be watching very closely right here to see if we vault out of that price and then continue on the upswing. Now, on the more bearish scenario, we could be headed down here to what I believe this is the 3.618 on this green fib. Here we are right here. And as I had talked about before, there is a possibility we could dip down to the 3.618 on this big red line. But whatever the case, I think a correction to these levels is probably normal. And if Bitcoin is correcting and the entire alt market, we can expect that there's probably going to be a bounce at this point or a bounce at that point. Now, we do see a great big fat volume node right here at about, what is that, 33 cents? I think it is. And then we've got another one that's sitting here at about 34.5 cents. So those are possible targets for where the price can go. So let's turn drawing mode off and expand this a little bit so we can see what those exact prices are. Now you can see the node really easily. So we got these two big nodes here at 26, 27 cents. And we already bounced back from that. We surged above it. But it's neat how price gets attracted to these volume nodes. Now, we see the price jumped up right here to where this volume node is at 34 cents. If we remain bullish, we could crawl our way back up to this volume node. And then in the best case scenario, we might jump back up here to the point of control. So, if you just let time do its thing, I think we're all right because this looks like normal price progression. Now let's change this back to the 4 hour and see if we can zoom in and get a little bit of a look of what these volume nodes look like on the 4 hour. So we still have this big fat node right here at 27 cents. And then here is the node of the price that we are sitting at. So that's what I think are the possibilities. And of course, on the 4 hour, we're still looking like a bounce is going to happen with this nice move right here with the stochastic crawling upwards and the %K diverging away from the %D. That tells me that we still have a little bit more momentum in the up direction. So we might see this crawl up a little bit. Another great indication is the bounce on the OBV. This says that there's probably some heavy duty institutional buying. Now, if you ask me, oh, look at that downtick that happened and it just changed that quick. If you ask me, I think this is a shakeout. I think that the institutional investors like Bank of America, who were so bullish about XRP and talking about their plans to use the XRapid system for money transfer in large amounts, I don't think they would have talked all that yin-yang if they didn't have plans for utilizing XRP. And I also know the majority of this volume is ghost chain volume. Well, that being the case, people tend to say that XRP is a bum project and it's going nowhere and it's a scam. That doesn't mean anything. I'll tell you what, just because it's a ghost chain doesn't mean that there is not the possibility of a use case coming up where the green light could flip on and it can be immediately used for its intended case. Now, evidence of that would be a project that you guys are all familiar with called EOS. Now, everybody says that EOS is a ghost chain. However, EOS has one big, huge, specific use, that is waiting in the wings that has not transpired yet. And it has to do with NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Do your research on that. Right now, the majority of NFT projects use the Ethereum blockchain. And so we have the ERC 741. I think that's it. I can't think of it off the top of my head. There are two different protocols that are used by the Ethereum blockchain for NFTs. But we know that we have high gas fees. Well, guess what? EOS is set up where this blockchain can be used for NFTs. And of course, we would not have the high gas fees that would go along with that. We could see a major shift where NFTs jump on the EOS bandwagon and use this as a platform to set up whatever it is that people want to do with trading, storing, selling. There are so many different use cases of NFTs in the retail world that we could see this come to fruition. But everything is sitting pretty where EOS could be used for that purpose, even though it's a ghost chain. Well, enough of that. The point has been made. So while a lot of the volume on XRP might not be used right now for the rapid transfer of tremendous, huge, very, very tremendous amounts of money, large amounts of money, we know that it is possible that the switch could be turned on and it could be used for that purpose. All right, so that's the action that we have right here. I still have my strike zone set, and I have not purchased another bag of XRP just yet. If we get a nice correction back down to the bottom of my box, now that we know that things settled down here and we had a good bounce in this area here, I think it might be safe to take a gamble on purchasing a little bit if we return to this bottom of the box, because this looks like a support level right here. Now, this ain't financial advice. Don't listen to me, because if you do and you invest money that you can't lose, you could be ending up in the soup kitchen line and out of house and home. So don't listen to me. Seek financial advice from a qualified financial advisor. There's so many people that like to post comments and say, oh, but what'd you say a few days ago? Looks like that comment you made time didn't play out well on that. Well, you know what? Things change on a dime at any moment in time when it comes to cryptocurrency. This is a volatile market. All we can do is look at the evidence, look at the charts of what's sitting in front of us at the current time to make better decisions on rolling the dice and taking that gamble to try to fatten our bags and capitalize on the cryptocurrency market as we head into this bull market that will happen sometime, I think, in the spring, and then maybe there'll be a correction and then head into the fall. So anyway, that's about all I've got. I wanted to update you on that. What are your thoughts on the bottom for XRP? Do you think we will hold there at the bottom somewhere around 32 cents? Or do you think it will capitulate and dive bomb down to 11 cents or even worse? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And by the way, like and subscribe. Congratulations, we are at 700 subscribers. We're doing great. So if you like this content, tell a friend. When we get to 1,000, I'll be able to post short videos that will show up on YouTube stories. And then when something happens that is of urgent nature and it's cutting edge news, I can post a quick 1-minute video or less to YouTube stories. So that's all I've got for now. This is Carlton Flowers, your crypto pro. Thanks for joining me. And Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope you have a great Christmas Eve and a fantastic Christmas. Spend time with your family and value that time, okay? Have a good time, exchange some gifts, be safe, and we'll talk to you later. We'll see you later.